Revo is designed with this thought of keeping stuff insanely simple and insanely stupid and insanely like accessible. So today I want to justify the module system being done that way as well. So let me say this is like this is multiple files, and this is main.iv. Now what modules are, they're just like, you get a file and then you put that in the closure and then you share the globals and then you share like nothing else. So this ends, so let's say let's const mods equals all of that. It's the same thing as just doing all of that, except you don't have access to let a equals 5, right? That's the only difference here. So let's make a module, right? And the way you want to do modules, the way you want to do public like exports and such, is just like that, right? So you have normal closures. So whatever you just keep in there normally is going to be like the internal functions, the private functions. So let's say fn helper, all of that do, and all of that is going to stay private, but fn m.public do, and that is going to be like public. So that's how it works essentially. And then to actually import it, it just like gets that file and then, well, it does some caching and cache the result. But then you do like const mods equals imports mod.iv. But for now, I'm just going to do it like that, right? So you just import a module like that. And like the approach of like this, the thing that's super cool about this is that you just return the table right here. So what that also means is that, well, if you have like any error propagation at top level, that can't be caught here. So if this may throw an error, you can just panic right here, right? So if you like use the error propagation operator at top level, it panics. So yeah, that's the first thing, and you can also obviously catch errors on here. So let's say error v, and then let's say error e, and then anything else, right? Does that make sense? Does that make, because I feel like that just makes a lot of sense. And then we like panic with e, for example, but you don't have to panic. You can catch it normally, and that's how you do it. That's just how you do it. I don't know. I feel like it's super cool and super amazing. And what we can also do here is that you can actually have all of your functions as public if you really want to. And then you would do wrapper.iv, right? And then the wrapper.iv just imports the module, and then it does anything. It can mutate it however it wants. So you can pipe a module, and then you can have this file that's not a wrapper but like a portal. Does that make sense? I feel like that makes sense. And then you can set like the version equals 0.0.1a, and that's how you can modify like a whole file with that. So if you like get regex.iv from the internet somewhere, right, and you want to keep that in the package manager, you don't want to vendor it, you can just do all of that. You can modify your modules, you can mutate the modules. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that cool? And like it can be called very much by like the language server when that exists. So that's not a concern. Safety is not a concern. You can just like, if you don't use the language server, you probably don't care about safety anyways. Or like I could just do like the dash wall flag in the compiler. I don't know. Probably like an LSP thing though. The compiler shouldn't care genuinely. So you can, this should return the version instead of the module. So then you would return the module and then you pipe it somewhere. And then you can have like generic mutators in here, which is super cool and funny. But let's mut equals a function of module, let's say. And then module version equals 0.0.1a. Right, and what you can do with that as well, I just figured that out, but I didn't know that beforehand. You said like the generic like API version here, right? So let's say it's like a platform API. Like you need to pass in your OpenGL version, and it doesn't work with any other like OpenGL version. And then you're gonna be like, yo, m public, and then m is accessible in here, so you don't have to like pass m as the first argument with the colon syntax. You can just use that. So you can like do if m dot version equals, I don't know, let's say ends with. Do I have an ends with? Did I call it ends with? No, I don't think I did. I don't think I do, honestly, but 0.0.1b, right? And then all of that, and then else all of that. And obviously you can just make it like a more OCaml-ish function. So you would do match m and match m dot version, right? API version. And here as well. API version. No, not like that. And then if it's like 0.0.1a, you do it like that. And then you can do like your whole module versions, right? And all of that is going to be like kept with the same API. And then you can set like, no, you probably shouldn't set per function, like version things. That's really stupid. But let's do and you can obviously match on more stuff. So you can add infinite like, when clauses here. So you can match m, and then you can do like x when x dot version equals 0.0.1a, right? That's like one clause. But you can also do like anything here, right? Because this is just like an expression that executes here. So it can technically be any expression ever. So that's going to be your where clauses essentially, right? So when x dot version is all of this, and let's say x dot API version is all of this, and x dot version is like, I don't know, 1, right? And you can do like stuff like that, and then you can do all of that for like a shared mutator. That makes a lot of sense to me. Let me actually rename it to OpenGL version, so that's like looks like a real world scenario. Dude, that's like insanely cool now that I think of it. But like the thing is broken though. The thing today is broken. Like the module system does not work that well, and I'll have to get that fixed. And I don't really know how I'm gonna get that fixed, which is unfortunate. It is absolutely unfortunate. So yeah, with all of that, at some point I'm gonna have like normal table destructuring, because I did like tuple destructuring. So let's say AB is all of that, and let's say the module is like a tuple instead. That would work, but with tables it wouldn't. But I'll probably do it like that at some point. I feel like that makes sense, right? So yeah, that's how it is. It's gonna look kind of like ES5. It's like the JavaScript import system. The module system. I don't know. I feel like that makes a lot of sense. It's super flexible, and you can do a lot of stuff in here. And you can obviously like make a generic mutator. So let's say mod and then mod2, and then you pass it into the mutator. But the mutator is just like not one single function, but it's a switch. It's a match on m, and then you do x when table x. You do something like that, and then you apply the mutator to everything ever, and everything else is going to be. Let me actually do let mutator equals do all of that. I want to keep like a little helper in there to deduplicate code, and you can do that quite easily by just wrapping the whole thing in a do end block, and then you would do pen const apply equals append, all of that, and it's not going to be accessible outside of the do end scope, but it's going to be there. Right, so this function that we return from the do end block, that's gonna be always available. So let's say do m.gl version equals 0.0.1a. Now, obviously, you would want to do this for globals usually, but globals get kind of messy, and some people just really don't like globals for some reason. But I do. I love my globals, but you know how it is. That's the way the cookie crumbles. So let me do. I could actually make this recursive. So const equals const auxiliary, right? And then we just return the auxiliary here. And then we do x when table x do, and then else we do. No, let's make it a tuple, right? So let's say we give the mutator a tuple of modules, and you know what? I really don't want to do it like that actually. So let me. X when table x is all of that, and then x when okay, I just went back to the start, but apply to x, and that's what you return here. But if not, you just return less all equals an empty table, and then you do all push, right? Apply x, all of that. And yeah, you just return the aux, or you can like not name it if you don't want to. And then you can have like a big tuple of them. So this is a tuple. Right, that is a tuple. That is a tuple. Let's fucking go. That is amazing. And then you get back a table. So that would be mod first and mod second. And let me actually move that into main.rav. So this like I don't think anybody does that pattern because it's kind of stupid, and you should probably do globals instead. But like shared configuration between modules, that makes a lot of sense to me. And the language is mutable, so you gotta take advantage of mutability instead of being ashamed of it. So yeah. Oh, I also didn't return. I also didn't do like the whole thing here. So let me do for key in X. No, for key in X keys. All of that. Apply to key, and then you return the all. Yeah, I feel like that makes sense. So obviously this doesn't exist, and modules are broken. Like the system itself is broken. But yeah, tell me what you think of it. Tell me if you can like find anything super special about this. Tell me if there's anything that like is super horrible about this that I should change immediately. Yeah, thank you for listening.